We are joined by Alan Gomez, who is the keynote speaker for Monday. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
So tell everyone what you're going to be talking about tomorrow.
We're going to try and highlight the work that's done in all institutions. We spend a lot of time talking about concurrent engineering, but we're going to talk about concurrent education, where we link all the islands together. So elementary schools and middle schools, high schools, tech colleges and community colleges, all the way up through university, so we're all talking to one another. You know, a lot of this forget that students will end up out in the workforce. And that's kind of a term that's used once in a while, and folks may or may not like the workforce term, but everybody's going to end up with a job. So the idea is to have time spent with these people before they get out in the workforce and have to work together, to understand who they are and what they're about, not just their grades, but their profiles, what they're about, what they know and are able to do before they actually enter the workforce.
And you seem to be taking on two major issues when it comes to engineering education, and that's greater diversity and making the cost of higher education more affordable. What are some lessons that you're going to be giving to people?
Well, let's start with the second first. As far as affordability, that's really not my goal. Obviously, we've always wanted to be more affordable, but more attainable. Often students will end up figuring things out late bloomers. So a kid as a senior in high school figures it out and knows that the rainbow is way out there, and yet their grades and their past work isn't enough to get them there. So we want to give them opportunities to move horizontally or laterally and then vertically, so they can achieve those goals and not set up barriers for them. The idea of that is rampant around education, so we want to make sure that that happens as a whole.
And in regards to greater diversity?
Well, in diversity, we're going to see a population shift. We're seeing it now. And I'm not going to get into politics, but if immigration law changes, that's going to even further this. But the idea is that in a very short time, we're going to see a demographic shift. The minority will become the majority. And right now, that equates to some unrealized revenue for universities, higher education, and major realized numbers, dollars for them. The white and African American students will have about 30,000 more, or less, excuse me, of those students, which equates to about a $1.77 billion unrealized revenue, meaning there's not going to be the income coming in for higher education. And we'll have more Asian, Hispanic, and Native American and Alaska Native students, which will equate to about $4.5 billion of income. So if you're not focused on that group that's coming in, that's a positive income, you have a delta of around $6 billion that you can make up one way or another.
And talking about education and universities, there's been a lot of talk about two-year universities. Do you feel that that's a good route for students to go to keep the cost of college down?
You know, the idea of success, what is success? You might decide that on-the-job training or apprenticeship is good for you. There's many routes to get to the top of the tree, and having those branches cut off from you and you can't attain those things, if we can provide the lateral or horizontal movement for students and then give them a vertical ladder to climb, we're going to be better off in the long run. So these two-year institutions provide a critical link between students that need that bridge and their goals. And if we cut those off, or if we don't spend time thinking about those, we're really doing ourselves and our students, who are our future clients, as well as folks that are going to be in our communities reading our x-rays and designing our bridges and working on our homes. And those folks won't have the education that they actually need. So they're critical in the success of everything we do.
And STEM education is obviously a focus. Talk to us about what is not being spoken about in regards to STEM. What are people not understanding? Well,
for the most part, this is a term that was coined many years ago, and actually it was SMET when it started, and it didn't sound real good, so someone changed it to STEM. But the idea here, the pedagogy of STEM, is that we're all working together to educate the child, whether they're in university, tech college, high school, middle school, elementary school, pre-K. All the resources are spent towards that child. It's not just science, technology, engineering, mathematics. It's English language arts. it's foreign language, it's PE, it's social studies, it's all the work that needs to be done that's put into there. We see a lot of people want to add a letter to that. Is it STEAM? Well, what does the A stand for? Is that agricultural arts? I saw STREAM lately. Is that reading or religion? So everyone wants to put their letter in, which is good, because it's about educating kids all the way through pre-K, post-secondary. And the idea is it's a pedagogy, it's a philosophy, everyone working together in the sandbox to educate the kid.
All right, Alan Gomez, keynote speaker, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.